Welcome to the Draft Indie Podcast. I'm Grant Sinning. Tonight I'm joined with Garrett and Alex. We are trying something new this evening with going straight to YouTube because they are doing away with Google Hangouts. And I'm not sure why. Google Hangout on Live is pretty cool.
They're trying to silence us.
Yeah, that's right. They're trying to get these takes and silence them forever. But like every podcast that I listen to, I think almost does their stuff either by Skype or Google Hangout. So we'll just have to be ahead of the curve here. And since I don't want to pay for mixing software, we'll just do it with a Skype call directly to YouTube. So that'll be the way to go for us for now. All right, so tonight's going to be shorter than normal because there's only three of us, A, and we got some things to do, B. So let's kind of just get into it right now. Third preseason games, a dress rehearsal. It's pretty much exactly what you expect from a Chuck Pagano team when you have high expectations for a game, almost, right?
Unfortunately, yes.
Came out like super flat, stayed flat, and it was actually it didn't stay flat. It was just bad. And again,
Stephen Morris came in and killed it.
Oh yeah, that's right, Trey Williams. Oh, the who blocked the punt?
Was
it McNary?
Did Todman?
I think McNary
No.
blocked it. And
Yeah,
Todman
McNary
got
blocked
It
it.
was McNary.
Yeah.
So McNary made the team. I mean, that's
Yeah,
Probably did, actually.
he probably made the team right there.
Grigson loves McNary.
Hey, you know what? After he was absolved of his rape charge, and it came out to be that it was a huge misunderstanding, I'm totally on Josh McNary's side. Like, I mean, that just sucks for him. He got the raw end of the stick last year, and I'm glad that the team and the law enforcement took the time to investigate it properly before making any rash moves. And obviously, if he would have came out as being a rapist, I would have wanted him cut, 5 seconds from the time they found out. But, the due process fall out. And honestly, he's not that bad of a linebacker. As your depth guy, he's not too bad.
No, he's not. It looked like Nate Irving was getting a lot with the first team, as I recall. Was that right?
Yeah.
I think he's pretty much
getting that all preseason.
Yeah, I think he's solidified his spot as the second starting inside backer.
I think that's, relatively a good thing, too. And I think he's better than a lot of the other names we have.
Yeah. And in this game with the Eagles, really, man, it was. I try to think of some positives, and I guess the only cool positives is that at one point they figured out that the only way to move the chains was with a short passing game. So let's hope that they take a look at the film and be like, hey, we can move the ball, 6-7 yards at a time with some of these quick outs and quick crosser type things.
Yeah, and again, let's preface all this conversation with the preseason isn't really about trying to win. It's not about doing what you think is best, in the context of the game. It's about doing what you think is best in terms of getting your players ready mentally for the real games. And that sometimes means even just running plays that aren't the biggest part of your game plan. It kind of just depends on who needs the most reps. So that's what I'm clinging to when I'm watching us, hand the ball off to Josh Ferguson on 3rd and short with T.Y. in the backfield, and everyone just falls over and the play is dead. But yeah, once the positives, like I tweeted out a few vines of some of our better pass plays, and most of them involved putting T.Y. in motion and having Moncrief go deep, and T.Y. maybe runs a quick out, Luck can hit that every day. And Moncrief looked amazing. That was by far the biggest positive. Like, he was winning all day. He had that one big catch, and I don't know how many other targets he even got, but even without coach's film, he was winning like off the ball or just by his release. Like, it's crazy. So I'm fully aboard the Moncrief hype train. I have been for a while, but then fantasy Twitter started getting really excited about it, which usually makes me nervous. But I really do think he's going to be like the clear number 2 guy this season and going to be really productive.
And that's good. And what I hope was an anomaly this game was the offensive line. Now, again, Raven
Yeah.
Clark shouldn't ever see the field in the regular season. He might by some random act if Joe Wrights isn't healthy and Joe Haig still isn't healthy, and so Jonathan Harrison is the left guard and Raven Clark is the right tackle. It's scary to think about, honestly. But I think Joe Wrights will be back. But, I mean, other than that, like, the two guys that you're like, well, we really need a stalwart. We need a stalwart left tackle. Anthony Costanzo played really, really bad. I mean,
He played worse than Clark.
He did.
Getting beat every play.
He was, and by Connor Barwin. Now, Connor Barwin's a good NFL player, but he's not like Von Miller, okay? And he was making Anthony Costanzo made him look like Von Miller.
I think he wrecked us last year or in 2013 or something when we played them. Whenever we played them early on.
Yeah, the 2014 week 2.
Yeah, 2014. Yeah, that was that game wasn't fun.
No.
And this game wasn't fun.
No, and Ryan Kelly obviously got absolutely hammered on a few plays, beat by a couple bull rushes, and I don't know. I'm just trying to remember. I just remember the one nasty bull rush from their admittedly very, very good nose tackle, who they were able to get in like the 5th round a few years ago. But man,
Benny Logan.
Yeah, but I mean, man, it was not a good outing for them. And then of course, the biggest news out of the offensive line is Jack Mewhort reportedly tearing his ACL, then not tearing his ACL, and going from, making all of Colts Twitter turn into little babies, to rejoicing happily, right? I mean, 2 to 4 weeks isn't the end of the world, but again, this team and their injury reporting and how honest and open they are is, suspect at best. Because, Luck was going to play last year, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, he didn't. He set out the last
He was out like
games.
4 weeks, I believe, once the kidney thing came out, and then it was the end of the season, and he hadn't come close to playing. But
Yeah.
that's
He
what you
would've
get with
played if we were in the
Pagano.
playoffs.
Sure.
Remember that.
And there's been other weird stuff too, like Chuck Pagano accidentally letting slip that Reggie Wayne had a torn tricep at a press conference. That was God. Oh, this organization.
Yeah, it's it was interesting to see the reactions to that, like on Twitter, just right afterwards, like not just from Colts Twitter, but from Jags Twitter, Draft Twitter, and all of them, and it's just like, man, leave us alone. Like, we're just at that time we were all super sad, and they were just kicking the horse when it's down. It's kind of like Eric Stoner today talking about skinny knees. With Teddy Bridgewater, which that's unfortunate for them, but
That's awful, really.
I mean we understand firsthand, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I really appreciate that Vikings team because they, unlike us, are a young, very talented roster.
Yeah, right.
And it just sucks for them because they've got so many players I like on both sides of the ball, and for them to have to throw away a season like this when they got so close in the playoffs last year, that just really sucks. And it's worse because Bridgewater, we don't really know what the supposed structural damage to his knee is, but it sounds very bad. So this could be not just a season-ending thing, but a career-threatening thing.
Yeah, and then when you got reports of people like crying and super distraught and all those things, I mean, it's just crazy. Okay, so back to the Eagles game. Another takeaway from me: where's the edge? I mean, we joke about it all the time. Eric Walden, greatest edge setter ever. No one could set a stupid edge in this game. Like, our outside linebackers are bad. And, not even Paul Kruger is going to fix this. And I say that sarcastically, but honestly, Paul Kruger is better than almost all of our outside linebackers. So, we'll just have to see what happens from there. But, I mean, Trent Cole got... Eric Walden got worked.
It was bad. These are our veteran players,
Right.
How long have these guys been in the league? And we're not counting on them to be physically dominant or even that productive, but we just don't want them to make those mental mistakes, But they are. and it's really painful to watch.
And I think
Ugh.
also going on this defense, talking about this defense, it's bad. Like, we had 6 corners out, 7 corners into the game were out because Darius Butler came out. Those guys, I hope, are all cut. They're not going to be yet. We're probably going to carry 12 cornerbacks onto the 75-man roster for this game, and then we'll have to see what happens after that. But, man, all of those depth corners are bad. The only one who's not, like, awful is Frankie Williams. Number 46. And he's just he'd be our third slot corner when everyone's healthy, though. That's the thing. Like, it's not like we got a place for him.
Yeah, there are maybe 16 really good starting quarterbacks in the NFL. So when you're down your starters and you've really got to scrape the bottom of the barrel, it's like looking for a backup quarterback. It's almost that bad.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, other than that, I thought TJ Green did good.
I've liked him
every
throughout
game.
the preseason. Yeah, I think he's especially. I mean, obviously he was immediately was going to be a contributor versus the run, but he's been like an enforcer. He's been delivering big hits, and I've really appreciated that because we don't have anybody else who does that except Vontae. But rest in peace.
Now,
he's been making those mental mistakes that you saw on tape from him a lot, but I think they haven't been as frequent as some were making out to be pre-draft, because pre-draft he was a guy who couldn't play at all. People were making him out to be a guy who couldn't play at all his rookie year because he'd be such a liability in coverage, but I think he's shown that he can at least be competent there, and such
He was never, I thought, watching him, I never felt like he just was mentally incompetent or couldn't play the position. It's just, I mean, he hasn't even been playing it for very long.
He's a converted wide receiver.
Yeah, he's a converted wide receiver, so it is going to take time. But I always loved that he had that. He clearly had like a defensive player's mentality. So I do believe that those mental mistakes will be cut down, and that speed and that power that he has, we really just need somebody with that on the field, even if they make mental mistakes.
Now, everyone was pointing out that he was at fault for that Josh Huff touchdown. Do you guys blame him for that?
Partially. There were other players involved. The corner got completely blocked out of the play. It was so in that sense. I mean, when you've got good perimeter blocking and a guy, with a head start to the edge, it's tough. So Green was definitely a second or a half second behind in terms of recognition. Because even as fast as he is, he couldn't catch Josh up on that play, which tells you something. So yeah, it was a bad play on his part, but at the same time, not totally his fault.
There's also, you could see some lack of communication. Like, as he's put into motion, his corner points at whoever was the middle linebacker, and then they don't really talk to Green right as the ball is snapped. So, I don't know. It'll be interesting, but it's concerning that he's got that 4.3 speed and wasn't able to keep up with Josh Huff, even though Josh Huff had a good lead on him when it comes to reaching top speed and acceleration. And then Dorial Green-Beckham just blocking whoever way out of our ninth corner out of the play. So maybe with a Cromartie or a Patrick Robinson or a Vontae Davis, they don't get pushed around that easily. So I mean, you're right there in that retrospect. Other than that, I mean, not much. Trying to think of what we saw from the rookie class. Kelly got beat. Clark got. I'm done talking about Clark right now. I mean, like, he's just really bad. Like, I mean,
next year we'll see next year.
Let's talk to him in a year. Yeah.
Yeah. Clark, he needs a year of. I mean, he's just every single play you look at him, he gets beat, and then he has to he lunges. When it comes to pass pro, and this is what I look for when I'm watching pass pro. With pass pro, you've got to be ready. You don't really attack like right off the snap. You got to take some steps back. He wants to, when the ball is snapped, to run block almost and engage first, but that causes him to lose out to speed people because his body is hunched at such a weird angle. And then but he does have those massive arms, which slows some people down. If he didn't have those arms, some of those sacks would look way worse. But he just doesn't set his base at all, and I've said it multiple times, but it's super concerning that he still hasn't gotten that part down yet. I mean, that's important.
I mean, he shouldn't be allowed on the same field as Andrew.
Yeah, no, I agree. Shouldn't. I mean, unless he's the last offensive lineman like dressed for a game, he shouldn't be on the field. I would rather play like Harrison at right guard and put Good back out at right tackle, which they should have done. So I don't know why they did. That's what confused me the most is why they didn't. Like, I mean, I know Muhort got hurt, but they probably should have had Good move out to right tackle. I know they're trying to get him to work on that relationship between Kelly and him, but at the same time, it's not a good look.
Let me clarify something. So Muhort is out for how long did people say? What was 6 weeks or something?
2 to 4.
Oh, 2 to 4. Okay. And then Haig, what is his status right now?
Week to week is what it was when they first announced it, but they haven't really said anything else.
Okay. Well, Vontae started out as week to week, so that's concerning.
Right.
So I'm just looking at this season opener right now. So who do we have as our starting guards for the season opener then? I mean, Good.
Good and Harrison, I believe.
John Harrison.
Harrison at left guard?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And they're going to try to run the ball too, man.
Oh yeah, they are. And you know what? With Harrison, a lot of his issues were always mental for center. And even when he's played second team center this year, he's had some snap miscues. Maybe, just maybe, when all you're asking him to do is beat the dude across from him, he might be able to do that because he's a strong dude. Like, he suplexed J.J. Watt once. That's all I remember.
He did. Never forget.
Never forget. Yeah, never forget. He suplexed J.J. Watt one time, and it was awesome.
Should have retired right there.
Yeah. I mean, he's getting a contract extension just for that play alone. But other than that, man, like, I don't know. If you're just asking him to beat the man across from him, might not be so bad. He's athletic. He's just not mentally in the game very well. All right. Anything else you guys want to cover real quick on that? On the game? Kind of covered it all. What about other rookies? Antonio Morrison. Did you guys see anything spectacular?
I haven't seen anything spectacular from him all preseason.
He's been it's just like his tape.
Yes, it is.
Inconsistent. Like he'll have some really good plays, and then he'll have some like, what are you doing?
Yeah, he tends to. I never thought that his athleticism was a problem. It's just that he tends to be over aggressive to the point where like maybe Stephon Anthony could make some of these plays, but not normal people. And so he just ends up chasing guys to the edge, and he doesn't get there because he takes the wrong angles. Mm-hmm. So it's been frustrating to watch, but I mean, I knew like this was why he was a 4th or 5th round pick. So yeah, we'll see. With Kelly,
yeah, go ahead.
I'm not really concerned with Kelly. This is like the first time he's really been beat significantly in the preseason, which is impressive, and it was against a very, very good defensive front.
A very good coordinator.
With a good coordinator.
Yeah.
And it's just really one thing I haven't seen with him. Maybe I'm just forgetting stuff, but in college he was just murdering people in the run game, putting people on the ground, and I haven't really seen that much of that in the preseason, and that was something I was really looking forward to watching. So, do you guys agree with that? Have you seen that?
You've seen a couple of times, like on a couple of those like fullback dives, he's been pretty good, but other than that, like, no.
No, yeah,
yeah.
I mean, not like he did like what he did in college in the run game was just sick. I haven't seen that.
Yeah,
I have not seen that.
Yeah,
stronger, faster people, but still, I mean, he might still be getting used to the speed of NFL as well, which is
there's some transition time that's built in, and that's what the preseason's for.
Yeah,
exactly.
He already looks like just such a significant upgrade over everybody we've had in the past.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'm not really concerned with him. I was just like, I was looking forward to that. Oh, well.
We'll eventually see it, but I don't know if we're going to see it with Harrison. And
that's
I think
another thing.
When New York comes back.
If the play doesn't even last long enough for you to get to the second level, you're not going to be able to put any linebackers on the ground.
Right. Okay. Ridgeway.
He's not done much all preseason, and with the other guys emerging to defensive line, I'm not expecting much from him this year.
Yeah, it's been a disappointment. I think I mentioned on the pod maybe a couple weeks ago that I wanted, it certainly wasn't last week, that I wanted to see Ridgeway really stand out, because he was one of our favorite guys, or one of our favorite value picks from the last class, and he really just hasn't distinguished himself in any ways. I think I can remember one pressure where he looked pretty good, and otherwise, no.
He's getting lost in that rotation.
Yeah, McGill and Kerr are both above him, definitely.
Which is, I mean, honestly...
And they've been good.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah, good. Yeah, because it's good competition.
Yeah.
Let's see. Blythe. I guess. We'll just stick with Blythe. Blythe's
a guy that he's like an injury away from actually maybe becoming a player, which is something we never expected. So.
Yeah.
We all liked him a decent bit pre-draft. We thought he could bring some good depth to this team, but he might have to do a little more than that if another one these guys gets hurt.
Yeah, if Good or Harrison goes down, Blythe is starting.
Kelly maybe.
Huh?
Or even Kelly.
Yeah.
Don't say that.
Yeah, don't say that. What are you doing? That's on Alex Jacobson. He lives in Ohio. So if that happens, Indiana people, just go find him. That's totally on him. Okay, Bates. So Bates is probably one of my most intriguing 7th round picks I've ever seen, because he's really good against the run sometimes. He hasn't shown really much in the pass rush, but I think he's still learning. But you can see that athletic guy that they drafted.
Yeah, you can.
That's about it.
Yeah.
And then after that, some of those undrafted guys, Majid's good against the run. Haven't seen much out of him in the pass rush at all. And then receiver-wise, the other guy, Tavon Smith, I think he makes the team as the 5th wide receiver. I don't think Chester Routers will.
Agreed.
So, all right. That's kind of it for that. Let's move on to some of the 75 cut. So what we'll do, we'll talk about this cuts to 75, all of them deservedly so, and then we'll do outside linebacker watch list, and we'll be done tonight. So let's talk about these 75 cuts. If you saw anything positive from these guys, raise your hand. No, I'm just kidding. 75 cuts. Justin Berger. I couldn't tell you who that was. Alden Darby, who they cut this morning and brought him back already today. Guard Eric Herman. Defensive tackle Ricky Lumpkin. Tight end Mike Miller. Running back Chase Price, who I don't think I ever saw get a carry. Cornerback Winston Rose. Defensive end Delvin Simmons. Wide receiver Josh Stangby. And inside linebacker Junior Sylvester. I think that was the one that most people were like, oh, what? You got cut? Yeah, no, he's not good.
Yeah, he was a darling for a bit, but he hasn't shown anything to compete with these guys.
One thing we haven't mentioned, the signing of Stephen Ridley.
Yeah, I was going to get to that. I just have I have their blog pulled up. I'm just going to go up the thing. So we signed Stevan Ridley. Probably.
Yeah, I got one quick thing on those guys cut. The only one to me who I saw anything from was Lumpkin, or Ricky Lumpkin, the defensive line.
Yeah.
He, in that third team, I believe it was, he looked okay. And he looked like he could be a back-end defensive lineman. But, again, our defensive line is so, unlike the rest of our roster, so deep that there's not really any room for a guy like him. Yeah, so I think he could have success somewhere else.
He'll get picked up. Let me go back. Before we talk about Stephen Ridley, they also released Conrad Rulin, Danny Anthrop, that's our Griff Whalen wannabe. Tackle
Danny Anthrax.
Tackle Keith Lumpkin, so both Lumpkins are gone. Running back Trey Williams, Anthony Sarau, and cornerback Darius White. I'm glad he's gone. See you later, buddy. I'm glad you're gone. Okay. Stephen Ridley. Where does he stand on our running back depth chart? He's probably number 3, right?
I think I like him more than Turbin, actually.
Really?
Me too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't pretend I've watched a lot of Stephen Ridley, except a few carries that I remember from random Patriots games. I remember that Belichick benched him for fumbling once, but that's just something he does. Belichick, I mean. And if you like, I mean, the first thing I do when I see a running back I don't know is I go and look at their measurables from the combine, and in that respect, he's a little bit better than Turbin. He's a bigger back, probably more powerful. He has better career numbers than Turbin in terms of his efficiency, his ability to create big plays, which was always a big concern with Turbin. He was in Seattle with, this really excellent system and a mobile quarterback, and he just couldn't really distinguish himself in any ways. And so I do think that he would be the number 2 guy behind Gore, and it's not the upgrade I was really looking forward. I mean, I was actually hoping that we would eventually nab somebody who would even challenge Gore for carries, but I don't think we have quite done that yet, although I do certainly like him over Ferguson and Turbin.
Yeah. With guys like this, at least Ridley's had success in his career. Turbin's never done that, and Ferguson doesn't look like he's going to do that anytime soon. So, though he's probably not very good, it's still somebody who's done well.
Yeah, so that's one of the only reasons to be interested in the next preseason game is it might be cool to get a look at Ridley.
And if Cromartie plays too, same thing.
True. Very true. And I still want them to sign Carlos Williams. I'm on that train 100%. Why not?
Carlos Williams is would be our best running back if we signed him. So I get it that he's overweight, and I get it that he's suspended for 4 games, but when you have a chance to get that kind of upgrade, you need to do it.
What do you have to lose?
I laughed out loud when Sully put a picture of him when he got cut and says, "Tell me this isn't a 3-tech." I mean, he was 260 pounds. And his excuse for being overweight is because his wife was pregnant. And so since she could eat whatever she wanted, he could eat whatever he wanted. And so he gained 40 pounds.
I totally love these athletes because most of them just don't even bother controlling what they eat through most of their lives because they're just going full throttle all the time. So then they can just randomly become complacent in situations like this, and it's weird, but it can happen. It is something to be concerned about. It's like, you question, like, okay, what's his real commitment to football if he can't even stay in shape? But he is such a ridiculous athlete deep down under all those folds of fat. I mean, he was 230 pounds to the combine and ran something. He ran like a 4.45 or something nuts. Crazy. He was. Yeah, you go watch his Florida State highlight reel. Oh my God, you will see a freak athlete just running people over like a bullet train. I was gonna say like a speeding bullet and then like a freight train, so I combined the two into like a Japanese bullet train.
I get it. Other people who we would like to see sign. I'll throw out some names. Paul Kruger.
Sure.
Why not?
You're not going to get any real interest from us.
Where's the pass rush coming from?
I mean, it's this defense. We can maybe make it marginally better, but are we going to make it watchable? No.
Okay, here's an interesting one. Vikings center John Sullivan as a guard, maybe.
Colts guard John Sullivan.
I could see it because he played. Because when Berger, I think it's Daniel Berger, came in after Sullivan got hurt last year, they didn't want to take him out because he was phenomenal. So they put Sullivan at guard. Sullivan's okay at guard. Maybe more depth. Maybe. I don't know. He's going to want to play center, though, because he's old. So, I don't know. Trying to think of any of these other guys who were cut today. You guys think of anybody off the top of your head?
I'm still holding out hope for a better running back situation because there are still teams out there like Seattle and
Kansas City,
Dallas and Kansas City who have these crazy running back depth charts. And unless Seattle keeps 4 guys, unless Dallas wants to keep 4 guys, then they've got to let somebody go. So I'm still holding out hope for I don't want to say a Darius Jackson because he's going to make the team, but just somebody who can move.
Why not send a 6th pick to Kansas City for Charkandrick West? He's our 3rd back, and he's good.
I think with the health of Jamal still in question,
true,
they're probably wanting to hold on to him right now. I don't think a 6th round pick would quite cut it, but I mean, yeah, I wouldn't mind a late round. Well, it's just the thing about investing anything in running back this year is that I worry that it'll make it less of a priority next year.
True.
Which isn't really logical, but neither are they. So,
right.
The Cowboys made it known today. They leaked it out. They are potentially, or would be potentially interested in trading Darren McFadden, and I don't know if that's something that we want to touch.
Yeah.
But again,
do it.
Most
he would be definitely our best option. He would just be it would just be so perfect for the season.
Yeah. All right.
To see Pagano just put all of his hopes and power football on Darren McFadden's shoulders.
That's making me sad. Okay. All right. That's it for that. Let's go into this 2017 college football edge list. College football starts. Well, it's already started, kind of. But the big opening weekend is this weekend, and there are some killer games. I mean, just some serious games. Auburn, USC, or Alabama, USC, Georgia,
North Carolina.
Yeah, Georgia, North Carolina, Texas A&M versus Oklahoma.
UCLA.
So
Ohio State, Bowling Green.
Yeah. That's going to be a barn burner, man. I'm telling you.
That could be fun.
When I saw that game, I laughed. I was like, yeah, Ohio State. Setting themselves up for greatness. Playing Bowling Green.
Week 3, though, so that's going to be a fun game.
Say what?
Oklahoma week 3.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to think of some of the others. But anyways, 2017 Edge list. Watch list. This isn't a ranking. This is just people who we want to watch. Myles Garrett, number 1. I mean, if I'm doing my ranking, you know what? I just said don't do rankings. He's going to be number 1 on the ranking because he's just a freak.
He's going to be a top 3 pick, so he's just slightly above our range, probably.
Yeah. He's a top 2 pick. I mean, unless there's a quarterback that somehow makes it up there, like they did this year. I mean, it's probably no option that it's not Deshaun Watson, Myles Garrett, 1 and 2. Unless Cam Robinson somehow just plays lights out again this year, but. Myles Garrett, athletic freak, bends the edge like crazy, great against the run, great against the pass. He's 6'5", 255 maybe, huge. Von Miller looking guy. Does he play like Von Miller? Maybe.
Nobody played like Von Miller, but
yeah. Okay, but still.
Yes,
he's really good.
He's on that Khalil Mack level and that what Jadeveon Clowney was supposed to be level. He's a guy that, if not for a franchise quarterback like Watson, would easily be the number 1 overall player.
Right.
I think he plays more like Mack than Miller, for whatever.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
That's fair. I think I'm just running through some highlights in my head because I dream of Myles Garrett.
Dream of Myles Garrett.
Myles Garrett's a guy you trade your next year's draft haul for. Like, you trade 2018 picks to get him. Because 2018 class isn't looking too good just yet, but that's, a year away, 2 years away. Okay, number 2 for me, I've been talking about this guy forever, Tim Williams out of Alabama. That dude is freaky. Like, he might be just as good as an athlete as Myles Garrett. And he gained 20 pounds this offseason. I am really looking forward to seeing him. He had ridiculous... He didn't play a whole lot. He was really just a pass rush specialist for them. But, I mean, he did it. I mean, he had like 20-some tackles for a loss. And like...
Yeah, he was... the thing about him is but like you said, isn't playing at all. He is a rotational player, and he is still getting incredible production in a vacuum, let alone in his context. So he's a player who I hope will get he'll get a more opportunity this year. But I think there is maybe slight concern that the reason why he wasn't playing that much, because there's clearly a lot to like with him there, but I want to know why Alabama wasn't giving him those snaps. So,
well, I think a lot of people are going to ask that question, and the context around Alabama players is so weird because the program has been so mythologized to this point.
Yeah.
Saban's influence is like, we think of every player as like, oh, this is a Saban system guy. Is his body just going to explode as soon as we sign him? Yeah, I really think that could be a boon to us because it means that people like, although Williams is like the athlete, he'll be a force player. I believe Huss has already hinted at that, and he may, even if he doesn't have that kind of college production that you normally look for, that could mean he'll be available later, so he could be in our range.
No, I agree. I mean, he might be in the range because there's some other guys who people might say might have a higher floor or whatever. I don't know. Carl Lawson, who we'll talk about next, but I mean, I don't know. I was sad that this guy didn't enter the draft this year because he would have been a first round pick for sure. But it'll be so if he gets more playing time, lines up next to Jonathan Allen, that side of the line will just like it's gonna be scary for college offensive lines to try and block that really. So talk about Carl Lawson next. We talked about Carl Lawson last year, we talked about him probably mid-season last year when we realized the Colts weren't doing anything and we started talking about some college prospects. We watched him and Shaq Lawson. So we watched the Lawson guys and we talked about them a little bit. Opinion on Carl Lawson hasn't really changed much. He's a beast.
He's another guy who could drop to the Colts because of reasons that don't really have to do with his talents. It's because he is hurt all the time, and he is a guy who suffered
as a result of that too.
Right. He's kind of comparable to Garrett at just a playing level, but he can't stay on the field, and that's, of course, a huge problem. But one of the better games any prospect of this year or last year had was what he was able to do against Laramie Tunsil, who was this dominant offensive tackle for Ole Miss, and he just worked him, and nobody else could do that. So Lawson's got something special if he can stay on the field.
Auburn is also playing this opening weekend against, I can't remember who, I'm going to look it up, but it's supposed to be a big matchup, I think.
It is. I'm trying to remember, too, because there's so many people, like where I live, it's like a conglomerate of Tennessee fans, Georgia fans, Alabama fans, Auburn fans, and Clemson fans, because, like, I'm in my company.
Ooh, they're playing Clemson.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's a good game.
Yeah.
Their defense is going to get absolutely just wrecked.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. It's going to be interesting. But Carl Lawson should look good because Clemson's line isn't very good.
Mm-hmm.
Or not Clemson. Auburn. Yeah. Wait. Yes. Yeah, I had that right.
Yeah.
Carl Lawson will look good because Auburn's line isn't very good. But Auburn's defense outside of Carl Lawson is kind of scary. But, yeah, interesting guy to look out for. Another guy that people have on edge lists, Derek Barnett out of Tennessee. I don't see him as an edge. I see him as a defensive end, and I see him as like a big defensive tackle.
What does he weigh?
I can't remember. Maybe look him up real quick. But I mean, he's a big guy. Let's see. I pull him up real quick. He's 6'3", 270. So I mean, he's got the size as a defensive end, but when
he's a guy you could put in that like big end role that Seattle uses a lot, and he's not a pass rushing guy, but he's not a very good pass rusher, but he is really good against the run.
Yeah, he's very good against the run, but he's not a good pass rusher, which is why I see him more as a kind of like that D tackle kind of role. So it's interesting. It's kind of like when we're like this last week when we played a lot of 4-man front, like he was like Kerr played the end, kind of like that. Almost kind of like that. But, yeah, I don't see much of a pass rusher in Derek Barnett. Be interesting to see what he does this year. But he's kind of a guy that a lot of people have talked about. Charles Harris, Missouri. Again, another guy I just don't see it with. And, again, I know we're not supposed to be skeptical of programs and their pedigree of players in the past, but USC and wide receivers – Missouri.
Yeah, Robert Woods is all right. He's pretty good.
Yeah, maybe. He's okay.
Aguilar, though.
Yeah, Aguilar, Marquise Lee. But then again, Missouri and their pass rushers. I'm not.
Yeah.
Charles Harris out of Missouri. I'm not. I don't know. What was his Sam? I forget his last name. Michael. Yeah, Mike. Or that was his last name. Michael Sam, Shane Ray. Who's the Coney Ely? These are just guys I don't see it with in the NFL, and he's coming out of the same system. It's just so similar, eerily similar in the way they play.
Well, it's because these teams they find out what works for them in their scheme, and they recruit those guys. So that's why. And then we sometimes exaggerate that a little bit, just because they're wearing the same uniform, they're playing the same position, so we just kind of automatically make that comparison in our minds, and that exacerbates things. But there is a grain of truth in that, just because they recruit similar body types, etc. But wearing a team's uniform, playing for a certain team, it doesn't change who you are as a player, not really.
And I mean, I just don't see it. I don't know. Have you guys watched any of Charles Harris this year?
I haven't.
No.
Yeah,
Watch Missouri. No.
Yeah. Go put on that Mizzou tape. That sounds fun. Another guy on my list, interesting, Devontae Fields out of Louisville. Played at TCU for 2 years, then transferred to Louisville. Lots of production.
And lots of talent.
There's a lot of off-field stuff with him. And he's one of those guys, just like last year when we were talking about Leonard Floyd. He's 6'4". He might be 220 pounds. Maybe. In the season. He might be listed at 240. He might be 220. So,
and you see that in his tape. He lacks functional strength.
Yes.
Like violently lacks it. It's not good.
But he's very, very fast. And he's fun to watch just because he's so fast. Like, he's way faster than all of those guys in that division.
It does frustrate me to watch players with body types that totally don't fit their position in college, in terms of projecting to the NFL, like 220-pound edge rushers. Because why aren't you asking your coach to play inside linebacker or something? Why, if you're or even just something else, if you're like a quarterback like Robert Griffin, why aren't you 20 pounds heavier when you could be? And there are questions about your ability to stay healthy and take hits. And I really just think it's because they're in these college programs, and the coaches, they don't care about getting them ready for the NFL. They care about, having them succeed where they are without changing as little as possible. So that's what frustrates me to see in terms of college programs, their effect on prospects.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. Not much to add on that. That was pretty good. My last guy, and then I'll turn it over to you guys, see if you guys got anybody. Dwayne Smoot out of Illinois. I don't really want to turn on a Illini tape. It's not something I enjoy. But Dwayne Smoot's on there. And Dwayne Smoot is a fast guy with some pass rush moves who looks really good, actually. Might play in the Big Ten, right? They're Big Ten, yeah.
Yep.
Might play in that Big Ten, but I don't know. He's just a guy to watch. Keep an eye on him. He is kind of productive. He's got a cool name. His name's Dwayne Smoot.
Also, this is yet another a new year means a new way to spell Dwayne. So draft nicks, get ready.
Yeah, Dawuane. So Dwayne, people just spell your name the right way. Come on. I understand. They're making it. I don't know. But anyways, that's it for me. Those are the guys on my watch list. I know, Alex, you got a guy, right?
I've got the guy who I'm going to be talking about for all year is Sam Hubbard, and it's probably not even going to go declare to make it to make me waste the year. But he is really good. He is an Ohio State defensive end. He came into Ohio. Oh, actually, he was a lacrosse player who Urban Meyer
saw. Are you kidding me?
No, okay. So he was a lacrosse player who Urban saw playing dodgeball.
What?
And thought he had. I'm not making this up. He thought
I'm furious right now.
And then he brought him in as a safety, and then he gained 20 pounds and is now playing defensive end and is like one of the best players in the Big Ten.
What did Urban stick in his arm while he was sleeping? Jesus.
It is one of the better stories in the NCAA, and I think it's going to get a lot of attention.
Why can't that happen to a team? Why can't that happen at like North Dakota State or like not North Dakota State, but like some small school? Why does it have to happen to like the best recruiting program in the last 10 years?
Hubbard,
the lacrosse player,
dodgeball player.
Dodgeball. And he just
one of the 50 crazy things about Sam Hubbard is the fact that he didn't lose any of that athleticism when gaining like 20 pounds and switching safety to it.
Why would he? Why would that be a problem for anybody?
So he's a guy who's going to get a lot more looks this year. He was stuck playing behind some pretty good players last year, but he flashed during Bosa's suspension and next to Bosa when Bosa slided the 3 technique. So he and Tyquan Lewis are both going to be starting defensive end, and Lewis is draft eligible too, and he's another guy to watch this year.
Yeah, awesome. Now Urban can let just redshirt however many 5-star edge guys he brought in this year.
Oh yeah, Nick Bosa. Get ready for him.
Nick Bosa. Oh yeah.
Great. Okay. Anybody else, Alex?
That's it. I can. What's his name? The Rutgers guy. Turei.
Oh yeah. Curray Tower. I don't know.
Yeah, he was like a prospect for a minute, and then he didn't declare, or something happened to him. But he's another one of these guys who does not. He was way too skinny and doesn't play all that well, but he has incredible athleticism that flashes from time to time, and we'll get him drafted somewhere. He's at Rutgers.
Okay. Garrett, do you have anybody?
Pac-12 teams. I think, was it UCLA? No, okay, no. I thought I saw someone for UCLA, but I think he got drafted already. Yeah, that was him. Yeah, and he wasn't even like a great prospect or anything. No, I don't know enough about the new defenses in the Pac-12 other than Stanford's, and they don't really have an edge prospect this year. Although Solomon Thomas, interior defensive lineman, very good. Peter Kalambai, outside linebacker in a 4-3, very good. So yeah, I can't.
All right, fair enough. So there's our 10 guys to watch, and all those guys that we just mentioned, they could be potential first, second round guys. I mean, they all have they all have traits that are very much wanted. Programming note: we will not be back next week. We're not talking about the Cincinnati game. We're going to take a week off before the season kicks into gear. And then, second programming note, we will be not doing a weekly podcast. Sorry to break some hearts. Wyatt, I know you're very upset. We're going to do bi-weekly podcasts, and that's to keep up with personal lives and all that other good stuff. Two of these guys are in college, and some other guys are in school still doing other things. So, it's, they got things. I personally, with work, I'm just going to be so slammed that I just don't have time for this. Not that I don't love it, and not that I don't enjoy it very much, because I do, but personal lives come before podcasts about the Colts, even though the Colts kind of dominate our social media lives. But other than that, can't really think of anything. We'll see you guys before the beginning of the season. Might scrap together a guest, maybe probably have the full crew, maybe might do some take it or leave it or some prop bet type stuff with Kyle. It should be fun. So we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Check out Alex's charting project. Good stuff, Alex. What's left?
We got a third down one, which is next. We're probably gonna might do one specifically in detail about pass rush, and then maybe one about defensive fronts and really talking about the structure of the defense as a whole.
Cool. It's been great stuff so far, man. Very good insight just learning about where everyone kind of lined up last year. I mean, this last one with your coverage assignments, man, I don't know how long that would have taken you to put together, but God bless you.
Don't want to know.
Yeah. Took all summer, really.
Yep.
If not longer. So, but I mean, that's good stuff. I hope everyone's reading it, enjoying it, learning from it, because the defense hasn't changed much yet from what you can see. Maybe more internal stunts.
Well, it got worse.
Oh, yeah. Talent got a lot worse, which is surprising. Not really. But anyways, we will see you guys in a couple weeks. If you're going to watch the Cincinnati game, God bless your soul. And, and we will see you guys next time.